Scream 2 is the follow-up to one of the best horror movies of all time, and two Windsor College seniors, Maureen Evans and Phil Stevens, attend a sneak preview of Stab, a movie based off of Gail Weathers' book about the murders from the first Scream movie. And now, these are baby steps compared to how unbelievably meta this series will become. Nope. I'd be out. How's anyone gonna hear me passive-aggressively clear my throat and go, or if I've really had it up to here, you better believe the theater would get a stern shh. Seriously, even during the previews, this would be deranged behavior. But this movie is starting right now. And also the theater decided to give out exact replica Scream costumes to all attendees, which is a terrible idea. A lot of these kids are drunk, and now they have anonymity on their side. And now it wasn't as rowdy as all this, but when the Babadook came out, my theater gave out Babadook top hats, but it was showing in the theater that didn't have stadium seating. Worst theater experience of my life. Couldn't see shit. Stab stars Heather Graham as Casey Becker, and I think every movie should have a movie about the movie within the movie, and have famous actors playing the characters in the movie within the movie. I don't care if it has nothing to do with the plot, I just really enjoy it.
Is this?
Who would you like it to be?
I don't like games. Who is this? I don't even know you, and I dislike you already.
And now I can't tell if her acting is terrible because this is supposed to show how awful the Stab movies truly are, or if her acting is terrible because she's Heather Graham.
Bitch, hang the phone up and star 69 his ass. Damn.
Okay, Maureen is just matching the energy that was set by all of you. Phil leaves to go to the bathroom, and when he's in the stall, he hears some creepy shit in the next stall over, and he presses his face up against the stall to hear better. Now, this is a bad idea, even if there wasn't a killer. Like, when I'm in a public restroom, I try to touch as few surfaces as possible with my hands. Definitely not smushing my face up against anything. The killer stabs Phil in the head, and then dresses up in his clothes and goes back to sit with Maureen. And while everyone is going nuts over Casey's death scene, the killer stabs Maureen multiple times, but everyone thinks it's part of the promotion for the movie, and they just keep on hooting and hollering, most likely because it's the first movie they've been to without their parents. So the news media, including Gail Weathers and local journalist Debbie Salt, descend on Windsor College, where Sydney Prescott is a student alongside her best friend Hallie McDaniel, her new boyfriend Derek Feldman, and fellow Woodsboro survivor Randy Meeks. Randy is a film student, and we see him in his film theory class, where they're having a discussion about how movie sequels are always inferior to the originals. And RoboCop 2 also had the same message about sequels. In fact, a regionally famous YouTuber may have already done a video about RoboCop 2. Kane gets hospitalized and is eventually chosen for the RoboCop 2 project.
My existence is pure torture and ooh, is that nuke?
And we have it. All the nuclear
Numbers, give me nuke. Nuke.
Okay, you have a psychotic, nihilistic cult leader's brain encased in a nigh-indestructible shell, and this robot man is still horribly addicted to drugs? He's supposed to be a cop, right? It's RoboCop 2? How is this a step up from RoboCop 1? Involved in the discussion is C.C. Cooper, played by SMG, Mickey Altieri, played by Timothy Olyphant. I don't know, I always get fancy when I say Olyphant. So he's played by Tim Elephant, and film class guy number 1, played by Joshua Jackson. Not sure why he doesn't have a name, also not sure why he's even in this scene. Feels like that could have been played by literally anybody.
Aliens is a classic, okay? Get away from her, you bitch. I believe the line is stay away from her, you bitch. It's film class, right?
Now, Randy's wrong here. Film class guy number 1 was correct. So, did they just not catch that? Or is that to show how full of shit Randy is, and that Sydney shouldn't listen to him about the rules of horror movie survival? And to answer the question of a sequel surpassing the original, the only correct response is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2, Eddie's Island Adventure. Sydney tells Randy that she thinks the murders are starting back up again.
Starting again, Randy.
It's not. A lot of shit happens at the movies. People get robbed, shot, maimed, murdered. Multiplex is just a very dangerous place to be these days.
And now it's always interesting when you find out that actors are actually British. Most people don't know that Jamie Kennedy was born in Newcastle upon Tyne, and he graduated from the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London. And then he starred in Son of the Mask. Dewey Riley also shows up to offer Sydney protection, and to warn Sydney that if the murders are starting up again, then the killer is probably already in her life. And Gail tries to stage a confrontation between Sydney and Cotton Weary, because Cotton is attempting to gain fame after his exoneration for the rape and murder of Sydney's mother, the hatchet-faced whore known as Maureen Prescott. That evening, Sydney and Hallie attend a party at the sorority house Delta Lambda Zeta. And at Omega Beta Zeta, Cece is home alone because she's the DD for the night, and she gets a call from Ghostface. The caller asks if she wants to die tonight, and as she's trying to call campus security, another sister shows up, played by the... what are we saying here? Third best Audrey Griswold, and that gives Ghostface the distraction needed to sneak inside. And Cece hears thuds coming from upstairs and goes to investigate. I am Nosferatu, and you humans are like mongrel dogs. And just then, Ghostface jumps out and chases her upstairs, stabs her, and chucks her over the balcony. And back at the sorority mixer, the party's in full swing. And now it's been confirmed that this is Matthew Lillard, who, as you all know, played Stu in the original Scream. And it is just a weird, blurry little background cameo because he happened to be visiting the set that day. But they should have made Stu actually be alive. Yes, I am one of those people that thinks Stu should still be alive. Like, have him be in the background of all the movies until he eventually shows up at the mastermind of all the Scream murders. Of course, this whole thing is moot because they can't do it now. They already wasted that opportunity. Scream 5 was the time to do it if they were ever going to do it. I mean, Christ, it even ended in Stu Macher's house. How did you not bring him back as the final reveal? Just disgusting. Like freaking Skeet Ulrich got to come back. And so Cece's real name is Casey, and so Gail figures out that the new Ghostface is targeting students with the same names as the Woodsboro murder victims. And fun fact, these three actors had to have had Thanksgiving dinner together at some point, right? Sydney begins to become suspicious of Derek and tells him that she thinks they should break up, and he does not handle it well.
I think I love you, so what am I so afraid of? I'm afraid that I'm not sure of. A love there is no cure for.
Sydney probably wishes he was just a murderous psychopath at this point. We then get an exclusive clip on Entertainment Tonight for Stab.
Sid, I think you need to just deal with that and move on. I mean, when my mom left my dad, I accepted it. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Moms leave.
Yeah, your mom left town. She's not buried in a cemetery somewhere. My mom's dead and she's never coming back.
Is the movie supposed to be bad? Randy believes that the killers are trying to make a sequel, so he and Dewey lay out the rules for a sequel.
Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate. And number 3, if you want your sequel to become a franchise, never, ever...
How do we find the killer, Randy? That's what I want to know.
He got cut off there, but he was going to say, no bare feet. They go through the list of suspects, which basically includes everyone. I mean, it's a Scream movie. And Sydney is the lead in the Windsor College production of Shakespeare's Troilus and Cressida.
Driven to the wind. No crime against gods or man have I committed, save to speak the truth.
So is the play also supposed to be bad? I have to say, I can't tell what's commentary and what is just good old-fashioned terrible acting. I only took half a semester of film theory. I had to drop the class after the professor called me an ignorant twat because I said that Air Bud was actually about immigration. I mean, I don't know. I was just trying to sound smart. Soon after, Ghostface calls Gail, Dewey, and Randy while they're together on campus. And as they're looking for him, Ghostface pulls Randy into the news van and Randy gets f***ing annihilated. The killer tracks down Gail and Dewey gets stabbed in the back again. The killer gets away and the police decide to get Sydney someplace safe. And poor Derek suffers a fate worse than death. Weird frat traditions. The killer ambushes Sydney's police escort, but he gets knocked out when they crash the car. Sydney and Hallie make it out, but Sydney wants to go back and unmask him. And when she goes back to the car, he's gone, and he shows up and kills Hallie. Gail runs into Cotton, who has blood on his hands, and she calls the police and tells him that Cotton's the killer. Poor Cotton. The man just wanted to raw dog the town's bicycle, Maureen Butterface Prescott, without anyone knowing, and his whole life got turned upside down. And he was railing Maureen in secret, not because she was married, but because it looks like that tramp's face was carved out of a pig's ass. I'm sorry. I am so sorry to the woman whose picture they used for Maureen Prescott. I'm not trying to be an asshole. Just watch the breakdown of the first Scream and it will make a little bit of sense. Sydney runs to the theater where she finds Derek tied up. And Ghostface shows up and reveals that it was Mickey, and he shoots Derek in the chest. Mickey tells Sydney that he wants to get caught so he can blame movie violence for the murders at his trial. And we learn that Mickey was working with a partner, and it's none other than Debbie Salt, aka Deb Salt. Oh wait, aka Mrs. Loomis, aka Billy's mom. And Mrs. Loomis shoots Mickey because she was going to frame him as the sole killer. Mrs. Loomis plans to shoot Sydney and make the cops think that Sydney killed Mickey and that Mickey killed everyone else. And Cotton shows up, and only after Sydney agrees to the Diane Sawyer interview does Cotton finally kill Debbie. In Cotton's defense, altruism does not exist. And in the most unforced error of all time, Mickey jumps up screaming and gets gunned down for good. Just play dead and crawl away. And then Sydney desecrates a corpse. Oh, and Dewey's still alive. And Sydney tells everyone that Cotton was the hero, and because of some weird 90s contract stipulation, every movie had to roll credits with Collective Soul playing.
Life's river shall rise.
Oh, and I forgot Harvey Weinstein produced this. Hey, remember when I was talking about a face that was carved from a pig's ass?